Hello and welcome to the vlog. At the end of the last one, I left you on a cliffhanger. Well, alright, on the lock side at Ratcliffe, ready for the final push towards the end of the Soar. There's a large marina here and quite a selection of interesting boats lining the riverbank, like this one, which looks a bit like a medieval cottage to me. Just next door to it, a substantial wide beam, either named after someone with poor elocution or possibly the village near Swansea where my grandmother lived. Alan was leading the way as usual, me lagging as I tried to film everything. Oh look, there's another big one, worth a few seconds of footage. I quite like these things, certainly more than wide beam narrowboats, which are not really my cup of tea. Opposite, the cows were having a nice paddle and a lovely slurp of that river water. Look, there's a little one. The boats just kept getting bigger, or is it my imagination? This is almost like a small warship parked up on the right. I half expected to see artillery on the front or helicopters landing on the deck. There are some houses along here, interesting to see the stilts holding them up from any flooding. At this point, we are nearly there. The end of the Soar is just around that corner where it joins the Trent. This last week has been quite the voyage for me, and it's going to be a spectacular finale.
Okay, this is it, the end of the Soar, and a four-way junction where you can turn right onto the Trent, straight onto the Erewash, don't know how you pronounce it, canal, or left onto the Trent and thereafter onto the Trent and Mersey. Should be an interesting junction.
And here's where we come out and turn, left or upstream. To the right, that's the Trent going down a massive weir, so I'll put on a decent bit of power to the engine and make sure I swing away and point west. We are now on the River Trent. I have no idea how deep it is here, but it suddenly feels a lot more watery than the canals ever have. I should have put my life jacket on, I expect, but entirely forgot in the excitement. Sorry, Mum. Ahead, that's Trent Lock and the entrance to the Erewash Canal. The Trent continues upstream to left, and that's our route. Behind me, I'm bidding goodbye to the River Soar, my first narrowboat river. At the pub moorings on the corner, for a moment I thought another boat YouTuber was visiting, but they're in Australia, aren't they? Let's raise a glass to them anyway. There's a bit more of the Trent to go before we lock onto the canal, and it stays wide and impressive. I think this will be what the River Severn is like if I do end up going on that later on this trip. It is a possibility. Sawley Lock is next, and it's under that bridge. You can't go wrong, there are clear signs pointing the way overhead. Toilet and water facilities are on the right-hand side though, but don't go too far right, that's another weir, surprise, surprise. There are actually two wide locks here. We're going into the left-hand one, guided, thankfully, by volunteer lockkeepers. Unusually, these locks are automated, so all the lockies need to do is press some buttons, hold a rope and keep an eye on us. Even the gates are pushed open and closed on hydraulic rams. I wish they had these on all locks. As if by magic, the gates swing open all by themselves. Immediately beyond the lock, bearing in mind we are still on the river, is the biggest armada of cabin cruisers I've ever seen, apparently all members of the Derby Boat Club. There are some narrowboats too, my fondness for little ones picking this one out as a favourite. And as you go a little further along past Sawley Marina, you've much more conventional narrowboat fare on the jetties. I don't know what this wide beam is used for, but it's certainly unusual. As is this, an ultra short wide beam, and it's for sale. Must they really show the boat flying over a precipice on these weir warnings? That's the M1 motorway we're about to go under. And that rather more elegant bridge is actually just carrying pipelines across the river, though what's in those pipes I have no idea.
We are now heading up towards Derwent Mouth. It's a four-way crossroads. If you go left, it's navigable a short way to a marina at the end. You can't go right, that's unnavigable. And if you go straight on, you're going to lock onto the Trent Mersey canal. That's the direction I'm taking. The only thing I'm warned about at this Derwent Mouth crossroads is that you get quite a strong cross stream from the Derwent as you try to go straight ahead over it. So we'll see what that's like.
That's the Derwent you can see just ahead and to the right. The Trent Mersey is dead ahead, which we're both heading for, and the Trent itself comes out from the left.
According to my Nicholson's guide, it's 76.25 miles from here, Derwent Mouth, to Middlewich, which will be where I make my next change of canal.
Technically then, I think this is now canal, although we haven't locked off the river at this point, but there is a lock coming about 200 metres ahead. Having gone through that, it's 100% genuine canal again. Welcome to the Trent Mersey, a 94-mile long canal that pretty much runs across the width of England, albeit in an elongated V shape. Almost immediately, there's a little marina, next to a sewage treatment works, but you couldn't actually smell it, to be fair. Loads of boats with online moorings too, that is to say ones on the sides of the canal rather than in the marina basin. As always, I try to pick out some interesting ones, and this one qualifies. And at last, some more ducklings. I haven't seen enough of these yet. Last year there were hordes of them. We go through this floodlock, and then we're heading into Shardlow village, although there was a bit of congestion at this bridge. While I waited for the other boat to come through, I had to admire this crocodile, or maybe it's an alligator head, that some wag had put in the water. Swinging round into Shardlow, you've got temporary moorings on the right next to two pubs. How handy. Do you remember my vlog about boat heating? Turns out Shardlow's the home of Lockgate, who make the reflex diesel stove that was shown. On past an array of workshops and wharves with various boaty businesses, and up to a lock which has a surprise little overflow on the far side, not marked on my guidebook, that I distinctly thought I felt it pulling the boat, though that may have been the stiff breeze. And another surprise boat YouTuber moment, but this isn't them either. Finally, a place to stop, although I got stuck on the shallows very badly, but we did both end up moored in the end. That's it for now. Bye-bye.